Struggling with mental illness can be one of the hardest things a person can go through, from depression to anxiety and everything in between. Every year, suicide takes the lives of 40,000 Americans, and that's just a fraction to the 800,000 people globally who decide that suicide is the answer. That means that every 13.2 minutes, a person's valuable life is lost to suicide every single day. And I was almost one of them. When I was in high school, I struggled with depression and suicidal thoughts. This followed me into college, adding the perk of crippling anxiety along the way. No one knew about this until recently when I admitted to it all in a video I posted online. No one could understand how such a happy and bubbly girl could have thought to herself that suicide was the answer. What even more people couldn't understand was that a single song by an awesome band called Set It Off changed my mind when I was on the brink. So what's the link between music and mental health? I set out on a mission to prove to the world that my story wasn't the only one that consisted of music changing your life. So this time, I'm not telling my story. I'm telling the story of everyone I've gotten the opportunity to meet through this amazing project. From bands to fans, this is how music saves lives.
Music saved my life, definitely.
Music saves lives.
It says music keeps me alive.
We are the greater good, and music saved our lives.
Music saves lives.
Hi, we're Ecclesias, and music saves lives.
Music saved my life.
We're Rick and Sarah,
and music saved our lives.
Music saves lives.
We are Marina City, and music saved our lives.
Music saves lives.
We are Descendants, and music saves lives.
Music, and Set It Off in particular, saved my life.
We are Cup Shack, and music saved our lives.
Music saved my life. I don't know where I'd be without music.
I do believe that music saves lives, and I'm proof of it. I've worked at the Institute for Therapy through the Arts for about 10 and a half years. I'm also a licensed counselor, which I obtained that credential after studying clinical psychology. So I've also worked for another counseling practice in the city of Chicago. Music can be a really powerful tool for people that are dealing with mental illness or even less severe psychological issues. We have actually visceral reactions to music that just happen automatically, and then we have reactions that are more about our associations with music. We know that music provides an outlet and a form of self-expression, and we can communicate our thoughts and feelings in a way that we cannot verbally when we're playing musical instruments or writing songs or even just using our own voice and experiencing that physiological process. When we listen to music by our preferred artists, we either have a connection with them as an artist, there's something about them that resonates with us, or there's something about the music that they write that resonates with us. When we are fans or appreciators of music, we tend to be attracted to music that empathizes with us. So there's almost an experience of listening to a song and saying, wow, that person really gets exactly what I'm going through. Music is the ultimate form of empathy. And I love that statement, and it's stuck with me for a long time because I think it's a way for us not only to feel like we're being heard, we're being validated, but also a way for us to connect with other people when we're in a large music venue and we're all having the same experience together.
It was a way for me to feel, music gave you a feeling, and I wanted to give that feeling. I wanted to reciprocate my feeling to other people. When it comes to writing especially, I can't write a song if I'm not feeling the emotion that the song is portraying. It's exactly what you hear is what the experience was. It is the outlet, it's a direct outlet, really.
I practice almost every day, and I think it changes based on my mood, because I'll just come down here and I started off always with 10 minutes of me just kind of freestyling, and I think whatever mood I'm in actually it gets amplified. Even if I'm in a bad mood, it just kind of brings me up.
It's like a different state of mind.
Yeah.
Everything that we've written really it was built off of a feeling, an emotion, whether it was an individual experience or we all collectively felt like that or got on it. Yeah,
Again, music has personally helped me just get through the rough times in life. Press play, put your headphones in, go to another galaxy. I've personally been told from my music, which is humbling, that it's helped them kind of get over some obstacles in life, or like having our lyrics tattooed on people, it speaks volumes. We want to impact the world with a positive message.
Well, we've already told about how music impacted our lives and how it's changed us and whatnot. And I've gotten other people to see that music can actually, help them better themselves and what the state of mind they're in right now. And life shouldn't be about the end point, it should be about the journey.
There's beauty in the struggle.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
Yeah, for me, there was never a time where I didn't want to do music. Like, I started singing when I was able to talk. I started dancing when I was able to walk. I could do whatever I wanted to do. I could be whoever I wanted to be. I could go anywhere I wanted to go with music. It's just something focusing on something that I love so much that gets me away from, relationship stress sometimes with family, with girlfriends, with just life in general.
Just really like the way it made me feel personally when I got up on stage and I played. It was just like a release from like everything that was happening in life. When you're on stage, for me, just like none of that mattered. All that mattered is I was on stage and I needed to do one thing, and that was just perform.
Even not being on stage, just going in my room, playing guitar, and just learning things, looking up to the people in bands, like those were my role models when I was younger, and just wanting to do what they did.
Music was always a great outlet for me, just because I was always like a super introverted kid. I was never very outgoing, and still am not very outgoing. But when I'm on stage, it's like I feel like I have something to show and something to be involved in. So it's like the perfect, I don't know, I feel like I'm a different person and like my truest self. So it really like opens me up. I'm able to talk to people easier at shows. It's been the perfect outlet for me.
And actually, for me, it's like almost the opposite of what you were saying, because music was a great outlet because I was outgoing, or I am outgoing, and I like to go meet people and do things, and now I'm able to take all this ADD that I have, or this like crazy, just thinking about, bouncing to one wall to the next, and put it in an actual performance, and people end up liking it instead. So it's like using this wildness that I have, being able to be focused into something that makes sense to other people. When I was younger in high school, I've always had dreams of being a musician. I've always had dreams of singing and performing. But in high school, a lot of people hated that about me. And, music, it's funny because the reason why I was getting bullied was because of music. And so, but when I would run away, I would go play music. And now, we're here and we're able to do a lot of cool things right now. And those guys are not here right now. And those guys didn't drag me down to their level, thinking, well, I'm not good enough. And music is the one that did that. Music never gave up on me. Music never told me to stop. Music said, oh, you're sad, you're upset, then let's just keep doing that and show that you can be better than this. But I've had moments where I've been in total breakdown, where life seems like it's too big for me. But music is always there telling you, go, you can't. I believe what Marina City has been able to do in just a year has been able to defeat anything that anyone has ever said to me that has given me self-doubt about it. Everything is temporary, and you can make the best of anything, any situation, and if it sucks right now, doesn't mean it's gonna suck tomorrow. Music has shaped me to be a person that I'm really proud about, and I'm really proud of the people that I'm around because of music.
Music changes me all the time, especially being in a band and making my own music. Like the reaction that I get from like the people who listen to it, I don't know, I feel like it makes me a better person. Like when I'm sad, I listen to music. When I'm happy, I listen to music. It's what helps I think it's what like mediates, I guess, my emotions. Like, cause I could listen to something when I'm sad and it'll either make me more sad or it'll make me happy. So the music is always there for me. So I think that's why it's what I'm supposed to be doing.
It's just music helps in a lot of ways where other things cannot do that. It's just like you and whatever music that you're listening to, and it's a very personal relationship that people have with their music.
I mean, like, there's something about, like, you had a great day, and like last night, I had a great day. I got to see one of my favorite bands, and then we got in the car, and then I put on another one of my favorite bands, and it just added happiness to my happiness. It's amazing that, like, you know, you think you're super happy, and then, like, I listen to Home Safe, and bam, I'm even more happy. And then when it makes you more sad, I mean, I guess it's not a bad thing.
I agree that sadness can act as an outlet emotionally, because the best outlet that I have for music is when I'm writing down my emotions, because that's really the outlet for me, is writing my emotions down, and then I feel better through that. And sometimes it just turns into a song, though. You turn it into lyrics. It's kind of cool.
It's had a very positive impact on my life. I think that if it wasn't for music, I would not be where I am today. We wouldn't be friends. I wouldn't know literally anyone here. Music just, you make friends through it, you feel so many different emotions, and it's like its own little world in a way, you know? It's just amazing how much of an impact that music really can have on your life. When my mother passed away, honestly, I had no idea what to do. Like, obviously, I was depressed and I was sad, but it didn't feel real. It was, you know, I went from seeing this woman every single day of my life and to literally having to put her 6 feet under, like, in 4 days. At that point in time, I felt like I wasn't able to show my emotions of being sad. When I would be driving and I, you know, turn on music, I would literally just like belt everything out. When you lose somebody, it's hard every day no matter what, whether it's a week from the time that they pass away or 4 years down the road, it's still hard. But having the music that you love and listen to, it makes it easier. I swear there's not one day where I don't listen to music. Like, imagine a day without listening to music.
It'd be good.
It would not be a good day.
Yeah.
I've met so many people through this scene. I'm friends with so many bands that are all super supportive of each other. I mean, it's basically like one big support system. You know, people who are doing what you're doing, there to support you and encourage you and make you feel like what you're doing is what you're supposed to be doing. Like, specifically Hope for the Day, they hand out those flyers at all the shows. There's contact information. There's always somebody there to answer the phone. I think it's cool, you know, if you call and you talk to a complete stranger who's not gonna judge you. What are they there for besides to be there for you, you know? I've called that line before, and I talked about a problem that I had. The couple words that she said was what I needed to hear. Use that resource.
Hi, my name is Carl Evans. I'm Director of Programs and Operations for Hope for the Day. What we do here at Hope for the Day is focus on suicide prevention and mental health education through self-expression platforms. So we kind of have this thing that we call pressures and valves. For those things that are harder to express, they sort of build up in you like a pressure inside someone. What we really focus on when we partner with these different artists and collaborate on these things through the arts, we're talking about finding ways for people to safely express those experiences. And it's in that expression that they can reach out and help for support and get to proper clinical resources if what they're experiencing goes beyond just needing to talk about it. Where music comes into play with that is that music is one of the most immediate and easily accessible ways to make that connection, make that sort of valve, if you will. If you think about someone who's struggling something and because of stigma, they feel alone with it, they feel isolated, listening to a song, just having lyrics that they connect with, just those lyrics listening into an earbud by themselves, that creates this thing where they feel a connection to someone who they don't know, but is talking about something that they connect with, and they don't feel so alone. That's a very rudimentary type of expression. You also think of that in the way of going to a live show, and that experience where whatever's going on inside your mind, when you show up at that show, you're surrounded by people who have the same appreciation for the music that you came to see. Being in that room with people who are also sharing that experience of singing out to the same song, dancing around, just getting really wild, all those things are almost have the potential to be therapeutic, but more importantly, they have the chance to reinforce a sense of connection and not being alone. That builds an immediate connection, even though you might be in a room full of strangers. You may not be able to share the same internal experiences and challenges as someone else, but being able to connect in a way that takes away this sense of isolation is a place where it can give you the courage to talk about the actual specific things that are bothering you in a way that you may not be able to do when you're sitting in a classroom and a teacher just asks, what's wrong? Having this experience of expressing yourself, even though you're not directly talking about the things that bother you, just having that one experience opens up your heart in a way that it lets the communication be a little easier to talk about things that pain you. Starting with what gives you hope works out better than asking, well, what makes you sad? Because they may not be able to talk about that. But someone can talk about their favorite band. And you start talking about that favorite band, that favorite musician, and talk about the things they sing about, and recognizing that what draws them out in that music, that's kind of like reverse engineering a pathway for them to feel a safe place to talk about the more heavier things in their life. And if someone can start there and get to a point of saying, hey, I'm not okay, someone can recognize that point, I'm not okay and these things are bothering us, then for us, with Hope of the Day, we come along and we say, all right, well, let's give you direction on where you can go. When we're embracing music, it's both a way of establishing and affirming this connection we have in the world, everyone has in the world, but it's also a method of opening this conversation and getting people to the proper support in a way that doesn't make them feel ashamed or embarrassed, or they may not naturally be able to do in more sterile settings.
I would say that music helped me as an outlet the most during my teenage years. Of course, you know, we're all going through the teenage angst, but my family situation wasn't that great. Grew up in a really dysfunctional family, and one of my escapes was music. And I found that I could just kind of escape into the music when there was all kind of craziness going on around me. I had endured some abuse as a child, and I hadn't come to grips with that yet. And kind of going through the end time of that abuse, I didn't know what to do. I didn't know how to let that out. I didn't feel comfortable telling anyone. I was afraid to tell anyone. So with music, I could just escape. And when I found out that I actually had some talent in music, that's what I latched on to. The only thing that could get me out of my shell and could get me interested, even in life in general, was music. I have to say that there have been some times when I was in a really bad place. I knew that it was a depression thing. I kind of went through a period where I lost 3 family members in 18 months, but one of those family members had been my abuser, and I never had spoken about it. So going through having to plan the whole funeral and put on this face because nobody in my family knew what had happened, there just became a point after all the busyness was over that I literally just broke, and I couldn't really articulate what I felt. So for me, the music was the best therapy for me. You know, I have a strong faith, so I was able to put on some, you know, praise and worship music and just really sit and just listen and shut my brain down from all of the stuff that I was feeling and all the triggers and the memories that were coming back. And the music just allowed me to really focus on, you know, the message of the song and focus that everything is going to be okay, and just really calmed me down. And it really took me to a place where I was able to actually make a phone call to a therapist and say, okay, I need to tell somebody, I need you to help me sort through all this. I do like where I am now. It's so much better than where I was. It's been a very long journey to get from a very ill person to the person that I am now. And music had a great impact on me. And even when I have my bad days, which everybody does, you know, I know what to put on to kind of lift me up out of that. it's very important to know that you're not alone, because sometimes a lot of folks won't seek out help because they don't want to talk about it. You know, there's fear, there's shame, and there's just a lot of other emotions going on where you really can't even articulate it. But sometimes you can do it through a song. You know, you can know a particular song that touches you or that addresses your situation. You could play that song and that would tell your therapist a ton of what, you know, you need to know. But, you know, you're not alone. Seek help. Music is very healing, but if you're at a place where you think you're going to harm yourself, or you're not loving the things that you do anymore, you're staying in bed, you're sleeping more, all the symptoms of a classic depression, just reach out.
How has music impacted my life? I think it was the first time I went to a music festival when I saw one of my favorite bands that I've always wanted to see for a long time actually go up there and perform. You know, the typical, hey, don't listen to what people say. As like a teenager, like 16-year-old, that really does impact me a lot. When I was around 16, 17 years old, I guess that's when like stress of high school and I guess just a lot of other things going on in my life. Let's just say I was having a rough day, just nothing was going to plan. I would get in a really dark place and I would just go in my room, put my headphones on, and then just sit there for hours just listening to music until I felt better about myself, or just in life in general. Just in myself, I always did care what people thought about me. And ever since I started going to shows, I became more confident in myself. Like, I guess just having conversations with like going to like one of the opener bands, just talking to them, or just meeting people there, and I realized I could be more of myself. When I go to concerts, I just kind of talk to everybody, and we all just become one big old family. It's like the best, and you can be yourself, and no one really cares on what you look like or act like. I've had some of the best conversations and like most personal conversations with just people in line. Like they're like whoever's band we're gonna go see, how their music impacted and how it impacted mine, and how we like connect. Just listen to music. Just find something that makes you happy. And if music makes you happy, just completely surround yourself by it. It took a lot of effort to get to where I'm at right now. And if it wasn't for all the music and all the friends I've made going to concerts, and just, I guess, watching certain bands perform and actually touching my heart, and I guess it just got me through the darkest times of my life. I don't know what got me here or how it happened, but music definitely kind of like guided my way.
It was senior year of high school, and I had come out as a lesbian, and I was receiving a lot of backlash over my decision to be open about who I am and how I wanted to live my life. At that point, I guess I was just really sick of fighting day in and day out to just be who I wanted to be and to be happy. I was already suffering from a severe panic disorder and depression, and I was just sick of fighting that never-ending battle. I made a promise with myself. I told myself on July 9th of 2012 that if my life wasn't better in a month from then, that I would follow through with my plans to take my own life. I saw that red jumpsuit apparatus was coming into town. I figured, you know, why not go see him? Why not? So I went, and Set It Off was one of the opening bands, and at that point I hadn't heard of them, but they played a few songs and I found myself really enjoying it. And then Cody stopped before playing Horrible Kids. He said he had to say something. I can't remember exactly what he said, but he said something along the lines of, there's going to be horrible people in your life, there's going to be people that try to get you down, and he said, you can't let them, though. He said, you have to keep fighting, you can't give up, you can't give them that satisfaction, and he said that he loved all of us. I guess what I couldn't understand at that point is how someone I've never met could love me. I guess I didn't think that my life was worth that. I didn't think I was worth being loved. Sorry. I didn't think that I was worthy, and, so they started playing Horrible Kids. I was looking down because I was embarrassed. Because I started crying. And at that moment, I don't think I really knew why I was crying. But I had my head down and I had my hand on the guardrail. I felt someone grab my hand and I figured it was someone next to me just trying to shove me out of the way because you know what concerts are. But I looked up and it was Cody and he was singing in my face. And I honestly, I don't think I will ever forget that moment. I won't ever forget that moment for the rest of my life. Just those simple words and the fact that a stranger could love me, just knowing that he could love me even though he doesn't know me made such a difference. And I guess why I'm getting so emotional is that I saw Set It Off on August 8th, 2012. And if you do the math, August 9th would have been the day where it would have been 1 month since I made myself that promise. So, I can confidently say that Set It Off saved my life. And I wouldn't be here to tell this story to you if I hadn't gone to that concert. I can wholeheartedly say that I wouldn't be here.
So does music save lives? I think that's up to you. We all fight our own unseen battles, but every day music is helping people overcome these struggles. Because when words fail, music speaks.
You may call me a dreamer, though you know that all too well. You may call me a believer, even though it's hard to tell. 'Cause I know I'm fading, and I know I'm losing everything you loved about me. Don't let me go. I can build the pieces of everything I broke. Just hold it against me. I never said this would be easy, but I'll try.
Doesn't matter who you are or what you do, who you want to be or what you want to do. If you don't believe that your life has purpose, you're lying to yourself.
No one will ever understand. Feeling of losing things right in the palm of your hand. Well, I know what it's like to be a man. It's when you lose your legs, you still fight to stand. 'Cause I know.
Your voice is louder than you think. And when you speak up, the earth shakes. Use that voice. Use that privilege. Don't ever let go of that idea. Your voice is a weapon, just like this microphone. Use it wisely.
I broke